I've been gardening all morning, but we're going to talk about something. It's funny, I did a video yesterday or the day before yesterday talking about this, the possibility of something happening with Poland, and I never put it up. I thought, okay, this isn't gonna, they'll never leave it up. So I talked for a half hour for no reason. But now I see, oh man, it's gonna happen. Exactly what I was talking about. You know, most of the people on the western side of Ukraine are Polish. They aren't Ukrainian, only technically Ukrainian. You know, after World War II, they put borders wherever. You know, it didn't follow any rhyme or reason, really. They did that in the Middle East, same thing. You know, they get together and decide, okay, here's where the border is. Don't talk to the people who actually live there. They just stick a border there. So the border between Ukraine and Poland got stuck there, and all these people who are actually Polish are on the wrong side. Well, now Poland has evidently kind of figured out which way the wind is blowing here. They decided, not through the UN, but on their own, well, they're trying to get a coalition of the willing, you know, we've heard that before, to go in to the western part of Poland as peacekeepers, or not of Poland, of Ukraine, the western part of Ukraine, eastern part of Poland, but go across the border into that area which Poland has claim to. And they were going to go in as peacekeepers. Problem is, there really isn't any Russians there. There's Ukrainians there. The army. But the Poles and Ukrainians, though Poland has given them all these weapons now, they have a pretty checkered history there, because these, particularly these neo-Nazi, these Nazi collaborators during World War II, killed a hell of a lot of Poles. I mean, that was a genocide. And now when these neo-Nazis are coming into power, you know, Poland is not particularly comfortable with that. So, like I said, they want to go in as peacekeepers, but the intention is, once they get in there, it's theirs. Because they, you know, Ukraine is going to be a whole lot smaller than it was. You know, Russia's going to take a big chunk of Ukraine, and they ain't giving it back. So the Poles think, oh, okay, as long as this is going on, we're going to take what we can. The problem is, like I say, there's no Russians there on that side of the country. You know, they've shot some missiles over there trying to stop this weapons flow, but the army isn't up there. So the Poles are going to go in, and they will be up against the Ukrainians. You know, which is a weird, you know, but I kind of thought, you know, I was thinking about that the other day when I made that other video that I did not put up, that there's a great likelihood of that, because Ukraine is going to fall apart. Ukraine is going to end up being a small little ornery patch of neo-Nazis right around Kiev. You know, they're going to lose a lot of ground. Darn cat, you're way too friendly. You got sharp claws. So Poland is going to make a run for it. Grab what they can when they can. And, you know, it's interesting I don't know that Russia has any interest in that area, but if the Poles come into there, they're a game for the Russians. You know, because Russia can't, in theory, they don't want to be shooting missiles across the border into Poland. But if the Poles come into Ukraine, even though they'll be, like I say, they'll be confronting the Ukrainians, which they have armed to the teeth, you know, that's going to get ugly. But, you know, just looking at the history of the area and stuff, I was thinking, I said the other day, that funny Poland ain't making a jump for it. Now, evidently, they figure now is the time. You know, that's a weird deal. You know, and I guess, like I say, the U.S. is kind of pushing this. You know, we like to stir up trouble everywhere. If we can get the Poles and Ukrainians fighting and the Russians waiting to take on whoever's left. You know, so I don't know that, you know, if the Poles go in there, I don't know that there'd be an immediate reaction from the Russians, because as far as the Russians are concerned, you know, if the Poles want to kill off Ukrainians, go at it. You know, the Russians are more interested in the southern part. I don't think that western part has any interest in for them, but I think the Poles are very interested. But it can't be a NATO thing. You know, because here they're invading a whole, because they would be calling themselves peacekeepers, but they would be invading. And how do you justify this when, you know, you're down on the Russians for doing the exact same thing, going in to defend the Russian speakers? You know, it could be very hard to justify that. It'll be interesting to see how they work that out. But like I say, I don't think that the Russians would get too wound up about it unless they start trying to go further south. But if they go in there and push those Ukrainians out of there, but you know, their intention is, if we go in there, we're keeping it. And that's always been in the back of their mind. They wanted to get a crack at that. You know, their original, that was their land originally. But it's funny how, you know, like I say, borders, they shuffle stuff around there, never taking into account the people that live there. You know, it's just, well, that'd been the UN saying, okay, this is now this, despite what the people there think. So we'll see, but that's going to get real, you know, I don't know, like I say, all the weapons that are being poured in by the EU members and us. I guess another, what, 30 or $33 billion we're going to pour into there? How that makes any sense. And at the same time, a lot of Ukrainians are coming into this country. No, they aren't coming in, you know, you'd think, okay, yeah, they bring them across, but they're coming, sneaking in through the southern border. There has to be like 10,000 Ukrainians now. There are 1,000 a day coming across our southern border. And we intend to let that go on until there's 100,000 of them here. You know, that's what we've stated. We take 100,000 of them, but you'd think, okay, why don't they bring them, you know, right to New York and, or, you know, but no, they come in through Mexico. I don't know what the idea of that is, but we let them in. don't know what the hell we're getting. You know, no good will come of that, but that whole southern border's been a hell of a mess. You know, and it just goes on and on. But Poland has been pretty antsy to get something going. So I think they were hoping they could get other people involved in this, but everybody else, you know, at the same time, the Balkans is getting real itchy. I think we're going to have a really a big to-do in Europe. But who the hell is the good guys and who's the bad guys? There isn't. They're just all bad. I mean, they've got all of these leaders that they put in power in these countries are just all a squirrely, horrible, warmongering bunch. So, but part of it has to do with us putting these borders up, saying, okay, this is yours, and you know, because I hear of other countries that are itching to go at it. And at the same time, we're provoking crap up in Finland and Sweden. I don't know why in the world, you know, if you've been neutral for all this time, why you want to get involved in something like this. You know, that's crazy. I would stay the hell out of that. You know, mind your own business is what you should be doing. If somebody interferes with you, okay, but you don't promote a problem like that. I mean, if you're neutral, my God, stay neutral. That's insanity. Well, even like this, you know, all this time, Russia has been pumping gas into these EU countries. And then they said, well, you got to pay in rubles. Oh, no, Poland doesn't want to do it. So, Germany is willing to. And to me, I mean, if you got something to sell, you should be able to say, you have to pay me in my currency. You know, that makes sense. So Germany is willing to do that. But Poland and I think Bulgaria had a problem with it. Well, now Bulgaria is kind of changing their mind after they shut the gas off. They're thinking, maybe we should talk about this a little more. But Poland said, no way, we aren't going to take gas from Russia. We'll take gas from Germany, who gets their gas from Russia. So they pump it to Germany, jack the price up, push it back to Poland, and somehow this is all right. But it's weird, like even are doing stuff with this, with Russian oil. Well, we're going to boycott Russian oil, can't take Russian oil. We're taking more Russian oil now than we ever have. And we are actually, you know, this stuff that's coming out of our petroleum reserve, we're sending that overseas, and at the same time we're bringing in Russian oil at a great rate, you know. But they kind of shuffle this stuff around, you know. They're like transferring it from one tanker to another in the middle of the ocean and mixing it off with other oil, and as long as it's under 50% Russian oil, it isn't really Russian oil, it's, you know, some new mix that they're calling it. You know, they play games with that stuff all the time, and you're not supposed to notice it. But that's going to bite somebody, and it's probably going to be us. You know, but they're actually shipping our petroleum reserve out of the country. You know, and when he opened that up, the theory was that was supposed to bring the price of gas down, though the small amount wouldn't make any difference. But so we ship it to, like, Japan. And now we're going to start shoving more arms in Taiwan, thinking, oh, we got to get something going there. But I think I mean, I don't know how this is ever going to straighten out without a World War III. You know, I think that's just in the cards. I don't see how it cannot be. So you better be prepared for that because, like I said, I don't think there's any options. I think everything has got to really scramble, and maybe then they can sort it out again. But a whole lot of people are going to die, but I guess that's maybe what they want. They want to reduce the population. But there's going to be some borders reshuffled too. It's quite a mess. And, and to think that it's all our fault, that we had to overthrow the government that was in Ukraine. That we had to fiddle around there and get this started. Because, like I said, I don't think there's no good end to this. But yet, you hear people think, oh boy, Ukraine is going to push them Russians out. Yeah, you betcha. People dream. But if you listen to our State Department, yep, that's what's going to happen. So we push in weapons like crazy. But like I said, now the Poles are going to go up against, they've hung back with a lot of their good stuff. They've been sending garbage over to Ukraine, but now they're going to take their good stuff and go in there to reclaim their rights to that land. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Ukraine is going to be striking out at everybody. I mean, they aren't going to have that's going to be, it's going to get real ugly. And I guess in that deal, if Ukraine and Poland really start going at it, I mean, if the Russians don't get involved in that, I guess we'd be on the side of Ukraine. I guess we're partly instigating this operation. I mean, not Ukraine, of Poland. But how is Ukraine going to react to that? And then knowing we got 100,000 Ukrainians running around in this country, and all of those missiles we sent over there, we're going to eat them. Just like what happened in Afghanistan, when the Russians were in there, we sent in a ton of that crap. Of course, later we got it all back. I mean, they were shooting down our planes with the missiles that we had sent in. Oh, she's just the whole world is gonna burn. But for some reason we always think that, we're far removed from that. Won't affect us. But yet every time I look on YouTube, there's constantly advertisements. Ooh, join the Army. Get like a $50,000 bonus for signing up right now. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, they haven't started talking draft yet, but that'll be the next thing. And I don't know, like I know at one time we were saying the Army recruiters and the people who wanted to go into the Army, they couldn't get people that were actually fit to be in the Army. But most of them were impossible to, they were of no use to them. It was like 70% of the people who applied to go in, they had to reject. So maybe it's all these people coming from South America that we plan on putting in the military. So we can, we've done it before, and then we give them citizenship for being, That's a funny thing too, though, that Zelensky now has a British citizenship. And I thought at one time that was not allowed to have dual citizenship in Ukraine. It was all or nothing. But now he's got citizenship in the UK. Just as like a present, He'll be skedaddling out of there pretty soon, though. If he's there now, I mean, there's a great doubt about that. But man, just a hell of a lot of innocent people caught up in the middle of this who really want nothing to do with it. They're the ones that are going to suffer. Well, I got to do some more gardening, and then sometime today, I think I want to work on this head. I think I got the right valve. Yep, that's the baby. Got to grind them. That's the original head that came on this motor, which was the original one that was in the XT, so I got to put that back together originally. But then I'll start on a different one. But I'm going to eat dinner now and then think on what I do. Got one day where it's not raining. Windy, but at least it's not raining, which is a great change. Well, I better stop. Didn't intend to go that long.